Hi, in this video I want to talk about something that's kind of important, and there's a lot of confusion about this in the hypnosis world, and that is the idea of a hypnosis voice or a trance voice. Ooh. And a lot of hypnotists are taught that they are supposed to create a special hypnosis voice in order to lull the person into an altered state of consciousness or trance. Well, if hypnosis was an altered state of consciousness or trance, well, that might be valid. However, the research states that's not the case, that hypnosis isn't an altered state of consciousness. It's not about relaxation. It's not about trance. It's about suspension of disbelief and believed in imaginings. And so from that point of view, you do not need any form of hypnosis voice. Does that mean you shouldn't have vocal flexibility? Absolutely not. But you don't need a special hypnosis voice. Now, I fell foul of this many years ago. 30 years ago, I'd done a lot of training in NLP and Ericksonian hypnotherapy. And a lot of the people from that training background, because Erickson had this sort of gravelly, slow voice, that everyone thought, oh, in order to do hypnosis like Erickson, you must develop a slow, hypnotic voice. And it's completely unnecessary. And from my point of view, I screwed up my voice. I was seeing at that point about 40 odd clients a week. And when I was doing hypnosis, I was using this stupid little gravelly voice speaking from the back of my throat and blah. And I ended up screwing my voice. This is why my voice is raspy like it is now. Not because I'm putting it on, it's because I damaged my vocal cords. So trust me, you don't want to do this. You want to speak with your normal voice tone when you're doing hypnosis. And some people, I've watched videos of certain hypnotists using some really bizarre voices. I mean, a few years ago on UK TV, there was a woman who used to do a show on past life regression. And she used to sound like Mystic Meg on helium. I mean, it was crazy. I don't know what the hell she was thinking. You don't need to do that. Just speak in normal voice and you'll be absolutely fine. And one of the first people who alerted me to this was a hypnotist in the States called Don Martin. And I don't know if some of you have ever heard of Don Martin, but Don Martin is the antithesis of Milton Erickson from the point of voice tone, because Don is if you've heard Tony Robbins speak, Don Martin is faster than Tony Robbins. And so he would speak really, really quickly and get great results. And when I first experienced Don, it was like, what the hell is this? This can't work. And yet it did. And so I really changed my thinking on this. So you don't need to develop a separate voice for hypnosis. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you cannot use different voice tones for certain things, but you don't need it to induce hypnosis. So what might you use different voice tones for? Well, you can use different voice tones to anchor certain states. And this is really what's happening certainly in NLP, when people are using different voice tones, they're anchoring those states. That's what it is. But it's not about inducing an altered state of consciousness. You don't need it for that. But if you want to anchor states using your voice tone, great, absolutely fine. And that's a really good thing to do. So for example, if you want to get someone in an excited state and a confident state, you don't want to be talking in a standard monotone. You know, I want you to recall a time in your life when you felt really, really confident. You know, a time when you felt on top of the world. No! So in that situation, you want to say, I want you to call a time in your life when you felt really confident. A time when you felt like you could take on the world, where you felt absolutely awesome. Now then, you want to be using a different voice tone. If you want someone to relax, you probably don't want to be saying to them, I want you to relax now, come on, relax, 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 relax. No, so at that point, you're going to slow down and you can use a different voice tone in that situation. If you want to create relaxation and soothing tones, by all means do that. But that isn't hypnosis. Remember, relaxation isn't hypnosis. And so there's another things that we want to be looking out for, and that's what's called intonation patterns. And there's in English language, there's three major intonation patterns. And this is where the voice tone either goes up, stays the same, or goes down. Now, if it goes up towards the end of the sentence, that's what's called a questioning tonality. And I'm sure you've heard people, particularly if you've ever been to Australia or to Canada, and they end the sentence with a question. It sounds like the voice tone's going up at the end of the sentence. And when they speak, you're kind of unsure if they know what they're talking about. Their voice tone goes up. Now, if you're asking a question, like, do you understand this? Then the voice tone goes up. Now, that's fine to do that at that point. There's also what's called a statement tonality, and this is where the voice tone is completely level. So this is where the voice tone is completely level. It doesn't go up or down, it's just completely level, right? Just a statement. But then there's what's called command tonality. Now, this comes in useful if you're doing sort of the more indirect type of hypnosis, trying to create changes in the person's internal representations. By using a command tonality at the end of the sentence, you can often use the syntax of a question with the command tonality, and it kind of slides in like a command. So this is where the sentence goes down at the end. So you might say, I don't know how easily you can go into hypnosis. And then you put in the emphasis on the end. That's a command tonality with the direct suggestion, go into hypnosis. So when you're using command tonality, you go down at the end, and then you're giving a direct suggestion at that point. So those people who like doing indirect suggestions, what you often will do is ask a question like, I don't know how easily you'll find yourself going into hypnosis. So I ask a question, I use a command tonality, and that can be quite effective in some cases. So intonation patterns are very good. The other thing when you want to vary your tonality is, again, when you're creating states, when you're eliciting the client's outcome or the problem or whatever, listen to the way, the words they say and the emphasis they put on them. And if they use any particular non-verbal communication, like they might mark out certain words when they speak, take note of that and use those same words back at them, because people talk about anchoring, particularly over Zoom. And how do you do anchoring over Zoom? Well, one of the ways you do anchoring over Zoom is by using the client's words, because the words themselves are anchors, right? I don't know if you've become aware of this yet, but the words themselves are anchors for their experience. And specific words create certain feelings in people. I mean, for a lot of people, I'm not really sure about this, why this particular word has such an effect on so many people. But if you say the word moist to some people, it creates a strange reaction. And that's an anchor, right? So when a client is describing their problem, they're going to be using certain words, which are anchors for their experience. And when they talk about their outcome and their solution and what they want, they'll be using certain words like confidence or I want to feel excited. Listen to those words and feed them back. So this is where you can use vocal flexibility, but you don't need a stupid trance voice in order to do this. So if you are on Facebook or wherever and you're talking to hypnotists and they say, oh, you've got to develop a trance voice, you really don't. Hypnosis is not an altered state of consciousness. It's not about relaxation. It's about just having the client use their imagination and forget that they're imagining and get believed in imaginings. Now, of course, again, if you want to create relaxation in your client, by all means use a relaxing voice tone. You know, if you're trying to get someone who's really tense to relax, don't be shouting, relax, relax, come on, relax right now. In that situation, you want to use a calming tonality. But that's to create a state. It's not about hypnosis per se. So these people who are saying, oh, you've got to have a special trance voice, you don't. You really don't. So just speak in your normal voice, because you don't want to end up like me with a croaky throat. Trust me, you really don't. It spoiled my singing for forever. So Don't develop a trance voice. You just need to have vocal flexibility. I hope that makes sense. So if you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe and to sign up for future videos.